Hello everyone, welcome back to our study session. This is Millie, and disclaimer lang, this is for educational purposes, educational purpose only. So anyway, it's day 2 ba, of reviewing. So, Hack 1, English literary devices. So without further ado, let's talk about different types of literary devices. So when you say literary devices, as far as I can remember, or based on what I have learned, literary device is what writers used and able to create works. For example, we have here aphorism. It's a different style, no? Literary devices, a style of writing. So we have here aphorism. Pinakaunang i-discuss natin is aphorism. Now, when you say aphorism, it's concise, often witty statement that expresses a general truth or observation about life. Halimbawa dyan ay, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It doesn't literally mean if you show an apple to a doctor, it will be frightened and be out of your sight. No. It actually refers to your body. Now, they believe, or they consider an apple as a healthy fruit for you to be healthy, right? And if you're healthy, then you don't need a doctor, diba? So that's the essence of it. And with great powers comes with great responsibility. Kanino yan? I think, I don't know, but great power comes great responsibility. Kaya ano na yan, no? Yung nagsulat sa Marvel. Yeah, pero patay na siya. Anyway, yun po. That's an example of aphorism. Now, ano ba yung kaibahan? Ma'am, ano ba yung kaibahan ng aphorism sa proverb? Kasi medyo pareho sila, no? Sa lawikan or mga witty na mga salita na makukuha mo either sa mga matatanda or sa mga may alam. So, ang proverb daw, well-known saying offer practical advice or wisdom. Pero most oftenly, came from folk origin. So, di ba na-discuss natin yan sa pre-colonial literature? Proverbs is a folk speech or oral literature, meaning pasa-pasa yan. And it varies, depends on the culture or the a certain group, no? Saying about it. So, ayan. Example, a stitch in time saves 9. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. And then, dito naman sa aphorism, often witty statement expressing a general truth or observation, frequently attributed to a specific individual. Ngayon, dito sa origin ng Proverbs, folk culture and human experience. And dito naman sa aphorism, ang usually makikuha mo yung aphorism sa mga specific writer, philosopher, or thinker. Yan po ang kaibahan. Basta ang sa Proverbs is more like on culture and human experience. Dito naman sa aphorism, mga manunulat, or mga philosopher, or mga matatanyag na mga tao. Okay? So that's the difference po. So, sabi nga, halimbawa sa sa example ko, yung nagsabi ng, kilala niyo man siguro yung sa, sa Marvel. Wait lang. I-sure natin. Always niya kasi yung sinasabi. Power comes great possibility. Origin. Tignan natin. So, while naglo-loading pa, halimbawa ng aphorism is experience is the name everyone gives to their mistakes by Oscar Wilde. So, ayan no, may mga author or mga matatanyag or kilalang tao ang nagbitiw niyan. Yung Proverbs naman is galing lang sa kaninunuan natin or mga sa unang panahon pa. So, ayan yung mag-load. Ayan. So, with great power comes with great responsibility associated with Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. Okay. So, yun nga. Uncle Ben. Yung matanda ba yun na nagsulat ng Marvel? Stan Lee. Yeah. Stan Lee. Yun yung pangalan niya, si Stan Lee. So, ayan po. Well-known siya sa mga katagang with great power comes with great responsibility. Siguro sinabihan niya si Spider-Man na kapag may mga siya mas makapangyarihan si Spider-Man, 'di ba? May unique superpower siya. So he have to use it responsibly, no? And then so much for the aphorism and proverbs. At least alam niyo na yung kaibahan ng aphorism, no? Aphorism is mostly galing yan sa mga kilala na mga example philosopher or writers, and while the proverbs is more like on culture or community. Okay? Dito naman tayo sa Chekhov's gun. It's a principle storytelling where any element introduced in a story must be relevant to the plot. So, ang lahat ng element or most of the element dapat ng isang story or literature ay nagagamit later on sa storya. So, halimbawa dito is in Anton Chekhov's play. Bali, ang full name ni Chekhov's is Anton Chekhov's, no? Siya ang nagsulat ng, siya pala yung gumawa ng The Seagull. So, halimbawa niyan is yung si Constantine daw, may dala-dala siyang rifle nung unang palabas, unang setting ng play. Bali, unang stanza ba, nakikita mo doon na may dala-dala siyang rifle. Pero later on, akala mo yung rifle is para lang sa pagprepresenta ng play, 'di ba, sa teatro. Ngunit kinuha niya talaga yon, binitbit niya talaga yon, yung rifle, not for just play or pagsasadula, but to commit suicide later on, making a rifle a key element in the plot's climax, no? So, bali, may suicide dito. Here's other examples. Shakespeare's Othello, Desdemona's handkerchief. So, ano yung element natin sa Chekhov's gun? According to Chekhov's gun, handkerchief sa Othello, which is dropped and later used by Iago to trick Othello, and is a classic example of Chekhov's gun, as it is a detail that is drawn to the audience's attention and then plays a crucial role in the plot. So, attention, we really have to, be keen observant when it comes to literature, kasi hindi natin alam. Later on pala, yan na pala yung manggugulat sa atin na, kaya pala bit-bit na yun. Kaya pala may ganito, may ganyan. So, yan. Halimbawa dyan po, if you're Filipino, you can see Chekhov's gun in writing the story in Magpakailanman. No, not Magpakailanman. Maalaala mo kaya, 'di ba? Later on at the end of the story sa Magpakailanman, may pinapahula sa inyo yung kung ano yung bagay na main element sa storya. So, example, tsinelas, rosaryo, ganun. Anyway, so much for the Chekhov's gun. It's been 8 minutes. Let's try to finish this one before 15 minutes. Before maubos yung oras natin. Okay, we have cliffhanger. So, from the word cliffhanger or hang, bitten, no? Pabitin to. So, end the story with a dramatic question or event. Yan, event yan. So, for example, so Thomas Hardy's A Pair of Blue Eyes. Lagyan natin para alam natin kung ano yung title. So, Thomas Hardy, siya yung nagsulat ng A Pair of Blue Eyes. Sino kaya yung A Pair of Blue Eyes, no? Siguro, mata ng kanyang jowa. Excuse me. Anyway, a chapter ends with the main character hanging from a cliff by his fingers. So, leaving the reader wonder what happened to him. No? So, yung ending na ng storya is yung main character nagkapitay sa cliff, sa isang cliff. Now, mapapaisip ang mga tao dyan, ano kaya nangyari sa kanya? Nahulog ba siya at namatay? O di kaya nahulog siya at nabuhay kasi marunong siyang lumangoy? O di kaya may tao doon sumagip sa kanya, hindi lang natin nakita? So, Yun. It leaves a suspense, no? Also suspense or excitement. So, cliffhanger. Yun yung gusto ng mga manunulat. Ginawa din yan, ginamit din yan ng ang cliffhanger sa Hello, Love, Goodbye. Bakit? Saan banda doon, ma'am? Yung cliffhanger doon is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong ha, but the cliffhanger of Hello, Love, Goodbye is when when Joy and Ethan say their goodbyes to each other, and then they have this, what you call, the stopwatch, di ba? The stopwatch na later on din pala ginamit nila sa sa part 2 na Hello, Love Again. So ito po yung tinatalk about ko. So ang ending dito is nagkahiwalay sila kasi pupunta si girl sa Canada or mag-a-abroad siya sa ibang bansa. Kasi Hong Kong sila, no? And then yes, they say na magkikita pa sila. Pero yun lang yung ending sa airport na, di ba? Nagkahiwalay na talaga sila. So it will leave, it is a cliffhanger for the fans, no? For the viewers, na ano kaya, magkikita pa ba sila ulit? Or di kaya, ayun, yun yung question. Magkikita pa ba sina Ethan at sina Joy? So yun, no? That is an example of cliffhanger. We also have the J.K.'s Rowling Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Ito yung Letters from No One. So, ends with a cliffhanger, encouraging readers to continue into the next chapter. Ayan. Next is the Seamus Heaney's The Barn. So, The Barn, alam niyo yung The Barn? Yung barn? Barn is yung kung saan makikita niyo yung mga iba't ibang klaseng farm animals. Diba? So, ito ay isang poem. Nag-end yung story niya where the speaker lying face down, fearing the sacks moving in like blind rats. So, hindi niyo alam kung ano na kaya nangyayari dun, diba? So, yun. Next, I think you get what cliffhanger means, right? Now, let's move on to defamiliarization. So, defamiliarization naman, ito yung making familiar seem strange by describing ordinary things in an unexpected way or new way. Basahin nyo lang yung So, halimbawa dyan is describing a common object. Alam nyo naman itsura ng table, di ba? Alam nyo yung itsura ng table. Pero, ganito niya i-describe sa kanyang pagsusulat. Let me read it for you. A flat, rectangular expanse of wood, supporting a collection of dust motes dancing in the weak sunlight. Ayan. Ibig sabihin na lang sa writer na a table. Diba? Hinaba pa niya. Which is only lead into one meaning lang. Na also an ordinary thing or familiar to many or common to many people. Table is very common to many people, right? Sino namang hindi na gumagamit ng lamesa? Diba? It's either sa work or sa bahay, no? So, yung imbes table, a table, hinaba pa niya. A flat, rectangular expanse of wood. So, mapapaisip yung tao nito. Ano yung tinutukoy niya? A flat daw. So, flat surface. Rectangular, so expanse of wood, malapad, tapos gawa daw sa kahoy. Supporting a collection of dust motes dancing in the weak sunlight. So, yung table daw, may mga dust. Makikita mo yan through the sinag ng araw na nakatapat ito. So, ano maiisip niyo pag ganyan? Wala namang ibang flat. Is it window? Hindi namang window, maliliit lang yung window pane, 'di ba? Expand, so malapad 'to. Pwede door? Pero collecting of dust motes. 'Di ba? Table pala, so ganun 'yon. So mga unusual example, another is yung sunrise. So 'di ba? Kapag sunrise, usually, i-describe yan ng isang writer na color orange and yellow and violet blend together in this horizon of the sea, meet the horizon of the sea, cha-cha-cha. So, this is all about picturist na, or pinipaint sa utak mo. But when it comes to defamiliarization, hindi ka ma-familiarize. Hindi mo siya, alam mo to, pero mapapaisip ka muna, no? So, for example, sa sunrise, imbis visual ang paggamit sa pag-create ng imagery sa utak mo, ang ginamit niya is touch, sounds, and smell rather than sight. Ayan. Bakit, ma'am? Bakit matatawag siyang defamiliarize? Bakit? Natatouch mo ba yung araw? Natatouch mo ba? Maybe the heat you can feel the heat, but you cannot touch the sun or the sunrise, diba? It's out of your reach, just like the sky. How about sound? Can you hear sunrise? Is there a sound? May sound ba ang sunrise? Taga-morning ba magsasalita yung yung araw na, oy, gumising na kayo dyan, ganyan ba? O di kaya naamoy mo ba yung sunrise? Naamoy mo yung araw? Hindi, diba? So that is one way of defamiliarizing. No, defamiliarizing a certain object or element of the story instead of the common way. No? Example, texture of the air. It's a texture. You can feel the texture of the air. Is it hot? Is it cold? Or di kaya rustling of leaves. Mahangin, no? And scent of dew. Scent of dew. So, the sun can cause to living things to react, right? And for example, kapag masyadong mainit, maamoy mo minsan yung mga dahon na parang natutuyo na masyado, diba? So that is one way of defamiliarization. We also have metaphors, no? Example, the sound of traffic to the texture of silk. Ano yun? Sound of traffic to the texture of silk. Imbes sound of traffic, literal na alam mo yung sound ng traffic, di ba? Maingay, halo-halo, may mga tao, may naglalakad, may nagbabanggaan, di ba? So that is sound of traffic. Now, he described it into the texture of silk, or describing a wall. The salty look of the wall. But yung meaning na the salty look of the wall, he's actually referring to the sound of traffic. No? Why? When you look at a wall na medyo marumi, di ba? Di kaya may mga crack na it's something chaotic, just like the sound of traffic. No? Kapag may traffic, nagka-chaos yung mga tao. Iritado yung mga tao, yes. So next we have, ay nako, lampasa tayo. Anyway, dramatic or dramatic irony. So makikita niyo yan, dramatic or dramatic irony. Pareho lang yan. Isa may irony, isa wala. Pero it's the same thought, okay? It is when the audience knows something a character in the story doesn't. In creating suspense and anticipation. So, when you say dramatic irony, halimbawa dyan is yung horror. Di ba alam na natin na may something sa basement or sa antique ba yung sa taas, tawag niyan? Example, sa basement. Alam natin may something. Tayong manunood or tayong audience na bumabasa, mga readers. Alam natin may something bad sa basement. Pero yung character na bobo, bumaba pa rin, pinasok pa rin yung basement. Alam nyo yan? Diba? Naiinis ka. Diba? If you're watching horror movies or thrillers, mapapasabi ka, tanga nito, bobo nito. Sorry about the word. That is usually the reaction of a reader or a viewer, right? Kapag merong a character na hindi ginagawa yung dapat, no? Suppose, kapag may narinig ka ng growl or something, or maybe a click of a gun, lalapitan mo pa ba? Hindi, diba, dapat? So, alam natin na may something ominous, pero yung character is lumapit pa rin. So, it's a dramatic irony, no? Para ma-suspense or magalit or ma-anticipate yung mga tao. So, ayun. Pero minsan naman, hindi naman tayo finifailed ng mga writer. Yung dramatic irony, example yung sa Basement, alam natin may multo doon. Andun yung, example, yung The Grudge, or si Annabelle, or si Chucky. Akala lang natin, pero pagpasok ng character is, wala naman pala. Guni-guni lang pala ng character. So yun, it's a dramatic irony. Next is visualization. Ito naman, literal na visualize, no? So there's a type of imagery. When you say visualization, it's a painting a picture in the reader's mind. Yan lang, madali lang yan. So visualization, you are painting a picture inside the reader's mind. So types of imagery, we have the visual, ito yung mata. Auditory is the ears. Tactile is touch. Olfactory is smell. Again ha, wag kayong malito sa gustafactory at saka olfactory. Yung gusta, taste yan, taste. Factory, smell. Pag makita nyo yan, pag alam niyo na yung gustatory, wala nang iba dito. Olfactory is smell. Kinesthetic naman is movement or action. And organic naman, internal. Internal sensation just like hunger or thirst or butterflies in the stomach. Okay, yeah? So, bigyan ko kayo ng halimbawa ng visual imagery. And so on and so forth. Example, the sun, a fiery orb. Alam natin itsura ng fire, di ba? Alam din natin itsura ng orb. Dip below the horizon. Painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Ayun. So you are now actually painting a picture in your mind of, let's say, is it sunrise or sunset? Dip below. Ano ba usually? What time usually pag nagpe-paint ng sky ng orange and purple? Is it morning? Or is it, dusk? It's dusk. Yun, paglubog na ng araw. Dip below, Dip below the horizon. Next, auditory. The wind howled and the morning song through the empty street. Howl, that is a sound. Auditory yan. Song, it's auditory. No? Gamit natin ang ating tenga. Next, tactile. When you say tactile, touch. No? She felt the rough, texture yan. Touch, rough bark of the ancient oak tree beneath. Ayun, her fingertips. So, touch yan. Gamit ang ating mga kamay. Next is olfactory. So, the air hung heavy with sweet scent. Ayun. Scent. Ano yung scent? Anong sense ang ginagamit natin? It's smell. Scent or amoy. Amoy ng honeysuckle. Ayan. Gustatory. The first bite of the apple was a burst of juicy, tangy sweetness. So, magkaiba, no? Sweet scent and dito naman, sweetness. Pero, nandito sa first bite. Bite. This is taste, gustatory. We also have kinesthetic. The runner's leg burned with the effort of the race. Legs, runner, is an action or movement, diba? Someone is running. And then felt the runner's legs burned because of the race. Organic, his stomach rumbled with hunger. This is, when you say organic, internal yan. Organic, hunger, thirst, and also, I can say, ano pa ba yung nafe-feel natin internally? Ayan. Butterflies in the stomach. Next, let's proceed with the epiphany. Ito naman yung sudden and striking realization. When you say epiphany, ito yung aha moment, no? Gaining new perspective on themselves or the world. So, epiphany is equal to aha. Okay? Epiphany, aha. Halimbawa dyan sa literature, we have To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. So, Scout has an epiphany on Boo Radley's porch, realizing the lessons of empathy and understanding that Atticus has been teaching her. So, diba, kung hindi nyo alam yung To Kill a Mockingbird, let me give you an example that's similar to it. So, for example, you have sa mga magulang nyo. When you were a kid, you are taught. tinuturo sa iyo ng mga magulang mo nung bata ka pa. And then later on, now you're on your own. For example, you are now creating a path to your own journey. Ikaw na lang mag-isa. Yung lahat na tinuro ng mga magulang mo sa iyo, one day marirealize mo yan na. Example, yung sinabi sa akin ng mama ko na ano yun, I'm thinking I am thinking which one should I say. Okay, you have to learn to do things on your own. Yan, you have to learn to do things on your own. Yun yung sabi ng nanay ko. Sabi ko, nung bata pa ako, natural, sasabihin ko, hindi, tulungan niyo ako, hindi ko kaya to, ganyan, di ba? Usually, ganyan eh. Ayan, you have to learn things on your own. Yung nag-college na ako, doon ko na-realize, nagka-epiphany ako doon. Sabi ko, ito pala yung sinasabi ni mama, na kailangan kong maging marunong sa buhay, na kahit ako lang mag-isa kasi walang tutulong sa iyo, no? Actually, may tutulong pero most of the battles in your life is ikaw lang talaga mag-isang haharap nito. Another halimbawa pa is yung yung mag-aral ka na mabuti. Epiphany ko din yan, guys. Epiphany ko din yang mag-aral ka ng mabuti. Why? Because nung elementary, high school, and college, hindi ako studious na bata eh. Hindi ako studious. So, ngayon na nag-graduate na ako, tapos akong mag-graduate, tapos ngayon magte-take na ako ng board exam. Tapos pag-review ko, masasabi ko na lang, wait lang, tinakot to ng elementary, wait lang, tinakot to ng high school. Nagka-epiphany ako. Why? Nagka-aha ako na, ito yung sinabi ni mama na dapat nag-aral ako ng mabuti. Kasi kung nag-aral ako ng mabuti, edi sana easy na lang sa akin to. Especially yung math. Diyos ko po. So yun po, halimbawa lang yun ng mga epiphany moments ko sa buhay. How about you guys? You can leave epiphany comments, epiphany moments in your life down in the comment section. So ayan, too much of the epiphany should be okay, ito na lang. Let me give you the rest of the examples of epiphany para hindi naman sayang ating time, no? We have The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Story of an Hour. Ito yung kwento niya. A woman, upon hearing her husband is presumed dead, experiences a sudden realization of freedom and then the possibility of new life, which then tragically ends when her husband returns. Okay, The Story of an Hour, okay, by Kate Chopin. Ito si Kate Chopin, funny din si Kate Chopin, no? So, The Story of an Hour, meron ng babae, sige, Tagalogin natin. So, meron ng babae na nag-assume na siguro yung husband niya is nag-travel or, di ba, usually sa mga, hindi naman ancient, mga old days, excuse me sa may dumaan na, ayan, daming mga motor dumadaan ha. Nainis na ako. Anyway, bakit? Sa'yo ba yung daan? Anyway, yun, let's go back to the topic. So, The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Ito yung story na may babae na siguro yung asawa niya is nag-travel or nag-travel para magtrabaho. Then, matagal lang hindi nakabalik. So, he's sabihin na natin siguro, hindi tayo pwede mag-create. Ang ingay, my God. Okay, so, ayun, hindi ako magbibigay ng example kasi hindi pa ako nakabasa ng Story of an Hour. Pero sabihin natin na hindi nakabalik yung asawa niya, tapos nag-assume agad si wife na patay na yung asawa niya kasi matagal na hindi nakabalik. So, he had this epiphany na, wait, malaya na ako sa asawa ko. So maybe this husband is not loving, no? Kasi kung loving to na asawa, hindi mag-iisip yung babae ng ganyan, di ba? So there's epiphany where she thinks that she can have a new life, but that dream And let that dream end quickly when her husband returns. So, akala niya, malaya na ako, wala nang pipigil sa akin. So, no? Pero bumalik yung husband niya, ayun. Wala. Bound pa rin siya. Siguro, bugbog sarado siya sa asawa niya. Kaya gusto niya makalaya. Anyway, let's go to Hamlet by William Shakespeare. Ito naman yung sikat, pero hindi ko alam, no? Sikat to na, alam natin na Hamlet is by William Shakespeare, pero hindi ko pa to nabasa. Later on, mababasa din natin yan. So, tapusin lang natin tong, English literary device, idioms, and figure of speech. Then we can go to the next, which is the continuation of Philippine colonial literature, Spanish, tapos American, so on and so forth. Then, last of that periods na Philippine literature, world class na tayo, and madidiscuss natin si William Shakespeare. Now, Hamlet, while on a ship to England, has a moment of realization that revenge might not be the answer to his father's death. Ayan, so si Hamlet pala, based na nabasa natin ngayon, is he wants revenge kasi namatay yung papa niya. Siguro pinatay, no? Kaya that's why he wants revenge. She wants. Babae ba to? Ay, lalaki pala. Okay, yan. So, he wants revenge. Next naman is The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Hindi ko to makakalimutan, guys, yung Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So, let me tell you a story first, no, about why I cannot forget The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Ito kasi yung libro na binasa ko sa school. Binasa ko nung lumayas ako. Actually, lumayas ako, guys. Hindi lumayas, pinalayas. Kaya sa high school ako yung pinalayas ako ng mama ko. And doon ako nagstay sa room niya, classroom. Doon, I don't know, of all the books in there, ito yung nabasa ko, Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So, anyway, Scrooge is the main character. Ito yung grumpy old man. Experience an epiphany after being visited by the ghost of Christmas is past, present, and future. So, may tatlong ghosts, no? Yung nakaraan, yung kasalukuyan, at yung kinabukasan. Okay, realizing the importance of kindness and compassion. So, doon pinakita sa kanya ng mga ghosts ang mga ginawa niya sa past at anong kahihingatnan, anong kasalukuyang sitwasyon ng mga taong pinagmalupitan niya. So, yun. And yung future, pinakita sa kanya kung ano magiging sitwasyon niya. Siya yung mag-isa, no? Walang nag-aalaga sa kanya. And hate siya ng mga tao. So, yun is Christmas Carols by Charles Dickens. Recommended po yan. Basahin niyo yan. Kahit sa mga bata, pwede yan for, reinforcement of their attitudes kapag mga patitigas sa ulo, no? Next, we have A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Portrait. When you say a portrait, para siyang picture, but it's painted, no? Para siyang picture ng isang tao, and painted lang siya. As a Young Man by James Joyce. Lumalabas din to sa Let Exam. Now, Stephen has an epiphany about the beauty of his own work. So, he realized, siguro, nakita niya na, siguro, ito si Stephen, yung main character natin, iniisip niya walang kwentang mga gawa niya. Pero siguro, may nakasabi sa kanya, may naka-appreciate sa mga gawa niya, doon niya nakita na may ibubuga pala siya, no? When it comes to painting. Next, we have, I think we're done with epiphany, no? Mga sudden realization. Dito naman tayo sa flashback. So, a character remembers an earlier event. Alam niyo naman tong flashback, no? So, hindi na yan bago sa atin. So, for example, Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So, Elizabeth Bennet receives a letter detailing a past situation involving Mr. Darcy's sisters, Georgina, which provides insight into the characters and their motives. So, meron siyang nabasahang letter daw. And dun niya, no. May nabasahan siyang letter noon about the past situation ng certain character. Kaya ngayon, alam na niya ang anong motibo ng character na yun sa kasalukuyan. Next, we have To Kill a Mockingbird. So, sabi ng narrator, di ba, sa Mockingbird is may narrator dyan. Recalls her childhood experiences providing context for the events of the story. So, halimbawa ng mga childhood experiences, no, doon nyo makikita kung bakit, what kind of a character is. Kung malupit siya ngayon, probably he doesn't have a good childhood. Diba? Kagsagaran kasi ganyan eh. Next is The Great Gatsby by Scott Fitzgerald. No? The novel begins with Nick Carraway recalling advice his father gave him, setting the tone and themes of the story. So, ayun. Recalling advice, that is a flashback. Yan yung flashback sa The Great Gatsby. So, bale, siguro nung bata pa siya or nung binata siya, pinagsabihan siya ng kanyang ama, and then nagagamit na niya ngayon it sets the tone and themes of the story. Hindi ko lang alam, no, kasi hindi ko pa siya nabasa. There you have Beloved by Toni Morrison. The character Seed experiences flashbacks to her time as a slave and traumatic events that led her to escape. So, ayan, meron siyang pinaghuhugutan kung bakit ganyan yung character niya, dahil pala isa siyang slave at may mga trauma siyang na-experience. We have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Jane has a flashback to her childhood. Ayan, mahilig sa flashback, no? Childhood and the abuse she suffered at the hands of her aunt. Ayan. So, ayun. Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. The narrative is structured as a flashback, with Marlowe recounting experience as a riverboat captain in the Congo. So, yung character natin, meron siyang experience, no, as a riverboat captain noon sa Congo. And then, it's been 36 minutes, so let's continue. Foreshadowing tayo. Alam na natin yung foreshadowing. Ito yung hint or suggest at the beginning, no? At the beginning ng istorya, and later on magagamit. So it's not the same as Chekhov's gun. In Chekhov's gun, the Chekhov's gun kasi specific siya sa mga gamit, objects or tao, something like that. Foreshadowing naman, hint lang, hint or suggest. Hindi din siya flashback kasi walang nangyayaring flashback. No? Hindi siya bumalik sa nakaraan. It's just by the beginning of a story, hindi naman siguro beginning, pero some part before a event or climax, no? Before niyan is pinapakita ang foreshadowing. So, hint siya or suggest na maaaring mangyari kalaunan. For example, sa dialogue, sasabihin ng isang character, I have a bad feeling about this. So, I have a bad feeling about this. So, mayroon na siyang nasa sense na hindi kaaya-aya. So, tapos later on, nangyari na, example, may namatay. Ayun. That is a foreshadowing. Setting naman can be used for foreshadow events. For example, dark and stormy night suggesting a dangerous situation. So, bigay tayo ng example. Sa Twilight agad ang naisip ko when it comes to dark and stormy night, no? For example, nung nagfo-form na ng clouds. While naglalaro sila ng baseball. Yun pala, may nag-lure na mga kalaban. Tinitignan sila habang naglalaro. So, yun. Another, yung nagmi-meet sila ng anong tawag sa tatlong parang hari-harian sa Twilight. Basta yun, setting nila is medyo dark and yung mga mukha nila is hindi na kaaya-aya. Okay, next we have the characters. Ayan, characters, personality traits, their future role in the story, symbols, objects, or image, foreshadowing events like a broken mirror. Ayan, broken mirror symbolizing impending death. O di kaya, hindi naman impending death, or hindi naman always broken mirror. For example, sa ating mga Pilipino, no, foreshadowing. Usong-uso to na foreshadowing sa mga Filipino. Kinig kayo, Filipino. Kapag may nabasag na bagay o di kaya larawan. 'Di ba? Say yes. So kahit hindi ko even though I'm not sure if there will be someone watching this video, but yes, pag may nabasag sa bahay, no, especially picture frame, naku po, it's a bad omen, no? And a foreshadowing, pwede niyang maging foreshadowing sa isang story kapag may nabasag, tapos later on may na-aksidente, no? So on and so forth. And walang makakatalo. Another one is prophecy. Walang makakatalo nito. So, a crucial event without revealing the details on how it will occur. So, para siyang si, Ruby. Ano tawag ng manghula dito sa Pilipinas? Sa Ruby yun. Another prophecy is yung kay, sa biblical, di ba? May maraming prophecy na sinasabi doon. Example is plague sa Egypt, di ba? Prophecy ni Propeta Moses. So, yeah. Those are foreshadow sa mangyayari later on sa lugar or sa story. Next, we have juxtaposition. Tapos na tayo sa foreshadowing, flashback, so on and so forth. Juxtaposition naman tayo. Lagi natin tatandaan, elements side by side. So, bali may dalawang element na maaari mong i-contrast or i-compare. So, mayroon silang pagkakaiba. Maaari ding elemento ng story is yung linya. For example, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. So, maaari sa Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. Ayan. Yung element natin is yung dalawang cities. So, there's a juxtaposition of that because there are two elements na magkakaiba ng trait or characters. Best of times, maganda, and worst of times, hindi maganda. So, French Revolution po yung A Tale of Two Cities. In Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, sino nagsulat ng Frankenstein? Si Mary Shelley. So, the creature's elegant speech is juxtaposed because even though he's ugly, pero malakas naman siya. That is Frankenstein juxtaposition. Wala siyang dalawang characters, but the character has two elements. What is it? His ability and his looks. Looks, ugly. Ability, strength. Another is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. So, yung juxtapose dito is yung insignificance of a French man of a warship firing into a continent with the immensity of the African landscape. So, French man and then African landscape. Next, we have the Midsummer Night's Dream kay Shakespeare. Kikita nyo ba? Ayan, dito tayo sa pinakauna. So, Midsummer Night's Dream, ito yung merry and tragical. So, masaya pero tragical. Tedious and brief. Highlight the fantastical and unpredictable nature. Ayan. Dito naman kay Matsuo Basho. Matsuo Basho, wag natin kakalimutan yan when it comes to poem or haiku sa Japan. Matsuo Basho. Ito yung may steel pond, may old pond, pero yung pond na yan is peace. At peace or hindi nagagalaw kahit hangin wala. Still or hindi gumagalaw yung tubig. Walang wave, kahit ano. Pero nung tawag niyan, tumalon yung frog, nag-create siya ng wave sa tubig, which is also represent as silent serenity and movement and sound. Imbes peaceful or silent yung tubig, na disturb ng movement ng frog. We also have A Prodigal by Elizabeth Bishop. Ito yung the burning puddles, the exile of the character, creating a sense of hope and reassurance in time of despair. So, burning puddles and exile of the puddles. Dito naman sa Cinderella, alam natin to, kahit mga kabataan, no? Alam natin ang storya ni Cinderella, no? So, yung juxtaposition dito is kindness ni Cinderella versus yung selfish and cruelty ng kanyang mga stepsister. Yan po yung juxtaposition natin. Dito naman tayo sa In the Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. No? T.S. Eliot. So, ito yung example ng line na may juxtaposition. Let me read it for you. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. With winter kept us warm, covering earth in forgetful snow, feeding a little life with dried tubers. Ayan. So, makikita nyo na, no, yung merong contrast. Una is yung sa April. It served as cruelest month. Why? There is a breeding lilacs. Meron pa rin tumutubo na lilacs sa isang abandoned or dead land, no? Also, dull roots with spring rain. Dull roots, you get it, dull roots. Mga ugat. Dull roots with the spring rain. It's very contrasting. Dapat may imagine mo ito ganito, breeding lilacs in a very lively land. Lively, in opposite lang, no? Yung literal na spring, 'di ba? Spring, napaka-blooming ng mga halaman, napaka-healthy ng land, kapag umuulan, fresh na fresh yung mga grass. Ganun dapat, no? Ayun. April is spring Pero bakit cruelest ang tawag nila? Another is winter kept us warm. Diba? Mapapaha ka, diba? So, ito naman is winter. Winter naging warm sa kanila, covering earth in forgetful snow, feeding a little life with dried tubers. Bakit? Natatabunan ng snow ang kanilang land na deadland. Di na napapakanibangan siguro, deadland. Okay, that is, juxtaposition. Let's move on to the paradox. So, Greek word niya is paradoxon, or ibig sabihin, beyond belief. Beyond belief. Okay, hindi siya literal, hindi siya literal, and hindi siya most commonly or literally yun ang meaning. Hindi ganon. So, seemingly contradictory siya, no? Contradictory statement. But, if you take a closer look or closer or deeper understanding, meron siyang katotohanan. Meron siyang truth. For example, war is peace. Mapapasabi ka ng, Ito naman, freedom is slavery. Ito naman, ignorance is strength. That's by George Orwell's 1984. So, ang ibig sabihin lang nito, guys, oh my God, may kinain na... Wait lang, guys, ha. May kinain na... May kinain na... May kinain... Ang tawag niyang ilaga? Daga. Wait lang, yung puppy ko. Wait lang. Ew! Wait lang, guys. Sorry. Ito yung ayaw ko, yung magkikis ka ng alaga mo tapos kakakain lang ng daga. Alright, sorry for the inconvenience. So, ayun nga, may pinatay na daga yung puppy ko. Yung tuta namin, Diyos ko Lord. Papatoothbrush ko muna. Anyway, let's continue, no? Meron pa tayong, ayan, mahaba-haba pa to. Okay, konti na lang pala. So, ayun, yun ang paradox, beyond belief or contradictory statement pero may katotohanan, may meaning, may sense, yun. Hindi siya walang sense, kahit contradictory siya, may sense siya. Anyway, these are the other examples. We have the pen is mightier than the sword. Yan yung ginamit na skill or it doesn't make sense at first if you understand it literally, kasi mas alam naman natin na mas malakas ang sword, 'di ba, kaysa sa pen. Pero ang ibig sabihin nito is yung pen or yung the way making use of pen in writing, no, is mightier than sword, which is more on forced, more on war, more on chaos, no, pagkikipag-away. So, yun. So, pen or diplomatic is better than sword or pakikipag-away. Next is damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, ibig sabihin yan, wala kang choice. Kung hindi mo gagawin, damned ka pa rin. If gagawin mo, damned ka pa rin. If hindi mo gagawin, damned ka pa rin. So, you have no choice. Just do it. Okay? Next is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, bakit mo magiging enemy yung enemy ng kalaban mo? Enemy ng kalaban mo. So, at first, masasabi mo, the enemy of my enemy. The enemy of my enemy. Supposed to be, kakalabanin mo rin, no? Pero, if you come to think of it, dalawa na kayong kaaway ng enemy mo. Diba? Yung friend niya, yung enemy niya, tapos ikaw. So, dalawa na kayong enemy ng enemy mo. Ayun, enemy. Anyway, the only constant is change. Ayan. The only constant is change. That is paradox. Bakit, ma'am? Constant tapos change? That's the two words are contradicting to each other. So, pero totoo, hindi mawawala. Ang always nandyan is may pagbabago talaga, no? The change is constant. Next, I must be cruel only to be kind. Only to be kind. Ginagamit yan ng mga parents natin sa atin, no? Ito naman, life is much too important to be taken seriously by Oscar Wilde. Ang dami na yung mga no? Si Oscar Wilde. So, ang ibig sabihin niya is seriousness replaced can be a hindrance to enjoying it, diba? Ang life should be enjoy, no? Habang nabubuhay kayo sa mundo ito. Next is, I can resist anything but temptation. Akala ko ba resist anything? Bakit may exemption, no? Na temptation or anong tawag sa temptation sa Tagalog? Mga tukso, ayan. Another, we have the prisoner who crosses the bridge tells the truth, and thus the judges feel required to let him go free on account of that. So, this is from the Cervantes Don Quixote, is a complex example of a liar's paradox. So, galing to sa kay Don Quixote. The prisoner who crosses the bridge tells the truth, and thus the judges feel required to let him go on account of that. Ayan. Next, we have in Back to the Future, Marty McFly interferes with his parents' first meeting, jeopardizing his chances of being born in the future. So, common sense, no? If you are in Back to the Future, you're going back but your future is affected. So, you interfere the first meeting of your parents. So, paano sila magkakabuo ng baby na ikaw, ng kalabasan, no? So, it interferes the future. So, that's for anong tawag nito? Paradox. Let's move on to the parody. Ito naman yung comic or humorous imitation. For example, we have the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Supposed to be Pride and Prejudice is from Jane Austen, di ba? Pero nilagyan ng and Zombies. So may twist siya. That's by Z. Graham Smith. And also we have The Lord of the Rings by the Harvard Lampoon. Actually, yung Lord of the Rings came from the well-known na novel na The Lord of the Rings, no? And then, okay, that's the parody. Alam niyo naman na yung parody, usong-uso yan sa YouTube. Next, we have this. Ito yung kailangan malaman natin. Poetic license. Some of you are not familiar with this, including me. Nung una ko pang nag-research nito, hindi ko alam yung poetic license, pero naririnig ko na yung poetic license sa mga major in English. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but poetic license essentially the freedom of a writer or artist takes to deviate from conventional rules. Bali, hindi lang ang short, simply speaking, no? Writers don't have to follow rules, especially in grammars, diba? Language, for the sake of achieving desired artistic effect. So, hindi nila kailangan ng mga, for example, hindi nila, dito sa omission, no? Kay Shakespeare, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. They omit the word na end, no, before countrymen, because when you are when you are a grammar checker, sabi mo, bakit walang end yan? Tatlong subject mo, hindi mo nilagyan ng end before the countrymen. Dapat may end yan, di ba? No, you don't have to follow those rules because we have this. You have the license, no? You have the poetic license. Kung may license for teachers, meron ding license for the poets, no? Poetic license. You don't have to follow the rules, no? Kasi sometimes you have to disobey the rules just to achieve a desired artistic effect. So, ang gusto lang daw ni Shakespeare dito is for rhythmic effect, no? Kaya walang end dyan. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, no? Friends, men, lend, diba? Pwede naman yung end, pero it doesn't really have to do it, no? Okay. Contraction and altered words. Pwedeng, ano bang ibig sabihin yan, ma'am? Kung meron tayong omission, yung pagkuha ng mga example articles or mga ibang words para lang maging rhyme, dito naman is contraction. May kinukuha ka. Example, sa letters. Nagiging over yung over. So, pag may makita kayang ganyan, tapos may yung didn't, mga ganyan. Instead of ever, yan po ay contraction or more archaic or poetic sound. Makikita yung mga ganyan na word sa mga poems. Yan. Another example is unconventional sentence structure. So, if sa LET exam is hinahanapan kayo ng correct na structured and effective lines or sentence, dito naman sa poetic license, you don't have to, okay? They are breaking traditional rules to create unique visual, emotional impacts. For example, I carry your heart with me. I carry it in. So, no. Ano ba to? I carry your heart with me. I carry it in. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear, and whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. So, as a normal English reader, no? Hindi ko maintindihan to. I am never without it, huh? So, anywhere I go, So, ayan, this is a famous example of Cummings' use of parentheses and unconventional spacing to create a sense of intimacy and closeness. So, ayan, gumagamit siya ng mga ganito, no? Anywhere I go, meron siyang mga pautot na ganito. So, ayan, that is a poetic license. Kasi if you are, ayan, kung sasabihin mo na you're a grammar checker, bakit mo nilalagyan ng ganyan, no? Mga parentheses. You have to be precise. You have to be, as a sentence, always end with the period, right? Always start with the big letter and so on and so forth. But in the poetic license, you don't have to. You don't have to follow that capital letters, proper punctuation. Yan. Bigyan ko din kayo ng ibang example ng poetic license. Mga poet dito sa Pilipinas na gumamit ng poetic license. We have, actually most of them do have a poetic license. Hindi naman kailangan na ganito, ganyan. Pero ang naalala ko is yung comma poet. Sino yung pangalan ng comma poet? Is it Garcia Villa? Correct me if I'm wrong, no? Pero siya, merong poetic na Filipino na tinatawag din comma poet kasi mahilig siya gumamit ng comma. Ayan. So, let's move on from, tapos na tayo sa poetic license. We have the stream of consciousness. So, it aims to replicate the flow of human thought. No? Human thought. Yan lang yung isipin nyo. Human thought. So, kapag, example, interior monologue. When you say interior monologue, is yung nakikipag-usap yung main character natin sa sarili. Sa sarili niya. Okay? Inner thoughts. Example. Nako. Magagalit kaya si inay kapag sinabi kong totoo. Ganyan. Ganyan yung interior monologue. Another is associate lips. Ito yung thoughts jump from one another to another. Example. Ganito. I continue natin yung example. Nako, magagalit kaya si nanay kapag sabihin ko yung totoo na kami na ni Mario. Kami na ni Juan. Kami na ni Juan. Naku, yung sinaing ko. Baka lalo siyang magalit. Ayun o. It's often triggered by sensory input or memory. So, yun na nakalimutan niya may sinaing pala siya. So, that is a stream of consciousness. Hindi siya from the bottom, from the start. Hindi siya sequentially, no? Hindi ganon. Palaktaw-laktaw siya kung sa Bisaya pa. Next, we have fragmented syntax. Ano yung fragmented, ma'am? It doesn't have any sense. So, wala siyang diwa or hindi kaya hanging siya. So, sentences may be incomplete, no? Wala siyang punctuation and unconventional. So, yun. Fragmented syntax, it doesn't have subject or verb. Okay? So, that's why it makes incomplete sentence. It doesn't considered as sentence. Next is sensory impression. So emphasis is placed on how a character experiences the world through their senses. So senses. Example, ano ba example nito? I can feel my beating heart throbbing inside my chest. Charot. Ganun. Yan ang stream of consciousness. So, may mga halimbawa tayo dito sa world literature, just in case, no? At least ma-familiarize kayo sa mga literature. Actually, first time ko rin maalaman itong mga literature na to. So, yan. James Joyce, Ulysses, 1922. Ganyan po siya katagal. Anong maisip niyo kapag 1922 when it comes to social science? So, ang naisip ko sa 1922, Ang maisip ko sa 1922, yung Philippine literature na American. Kasi 1910 nagsimula yung American, no? Ayun. So, 1910 ba? Or Spanish to? Basta ganun. Matagal na. It's either of the two, okay? So, when James Joyce Ulysses, this is a novel, is a landmark example. Okay, particularly the character of Molly Bloom Solicoy, she's along ang punctuated flow of her thoughts. So, merong internal monologue sa Ulysses, okay? Okay, dito naman tayo sa Mrs. Dalloway kay Virginia Woolf. So, 1925 ito. Meron din siyang stream of consciousness about the inner lives of her characters, no? Especially si Clarissa Dalloway. Siya si Mrs. Dalloway. Ito yung halimbawa ng stream of consciousness. Halimbawa, ako si Clarissa, ha? Ako si Clarissa Dalloway sa Mrs. Dalloway. Lights, camera, action. For having lived in Westminster, how many years now? Over 20. One feels even in the midst of the traffic or walking at night. Clarissa was positive. A particular hush or solemnity. An indescribable pause. A suspense. Ayan, meron siyang poetic license ba to? Gumagamit siya ng ano. No, but that might be her heart affected, they said, by influenza before Big Ben strikes. There! Out it boomed! Char. Ganon. And yung mga the way of writing nila, medyo hindi natin masabayan, no? Kasi it's something old style. Yung grammar structure nila is hindi ko masabayan personally. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. Toni Morrison, Beloved, 1987. So ito naman, yung stream of consciousness niya, pinakita niya doon ang fractured and traumatic ng isang character. Ito, example, isa ako sa mga character sa Beloved ni Toni Morrison. Lights, camera, action. I am alone. I want to be the two of us. I want to join. I come out of the blue water after the bottoms of my feet swim away from me. I come up. I need to find a place to be. The air is heavy. I am not dead. And not there is a house. There is what she is. What she whispered to me. I am where she told me. I am not dead. I sit. The sun closes my eyes. When I open them, I see the face I lost. Seeth. It's the face that left me. Sees me. Isa tong character si Seeth, no? Seeth sees me. See her. And I see the smile. Her smiling face is the... Hindi yan nag-continue. Actually, meron continuation yan, pero hindi ko na sinali. So yun that is an example of a stream of thought or stream of consciousness ng isang character sa Beloved by Toni Morrison. So we're done with the stream of thoughts or the stream of consciousness. We have here the symbolism kung saan alam to ng lahat. Ng symbolism ay maaaring object, maaaring tao o maaaring sitwasyon na merong kahulugan. So una-una we have the colors. Kapag may makita tayong red, maaaring maisip natin is passion, love, anger, or danger. Example, dugo, diba? Heart. No? Rose is love. Pula na mukha, galit na galit, anger. Next is white, purity, innocence, peace. Black is death, evil. Green may symbolize growth or jealousy, no? Green. Why masasabi natin growth, ma'am? Just think of halaman, no? Mostly of them are green, no? Next is animals. Pag dove is peace. Pag owl, wisdom. Makikita natin yan doon sa Harry Potter, no? Owl. Next, we have the snake. Sa Harry Potter pa rin, mga tawag dun sa Harry Potter? Kalimutan ko ng Gryffindor. Slytherin. Ayan, Slytherin. So, hindi naman siya ibig sabihin na Slytherin is evil, but nandun nakatira yung isa sa mga character doon na evil, no? Kabilang siya sa grupo ng Slytherin. Anyway, temptation or evil yung snake. Another halimbawa is yung sa biblical, no? Sa Adam and Eve story. Snake is an evil. Dito naman sa object, rose, love, romance. Broken mirror, it could be death or separation. Light naman is knowledge, truth, or hope. Diba? When a character sees the light, it's either end of his life, or di kaya enlightenment of them, no? Or hope. Darkness naman is despair or evil. So, meron tayong mga halimbawa dito sa world literature na maaaring meron silang symbolism. For example, the green light at the end of the Daisy's Dock symbolizes Gatsby hope and dreams for the future. Ayan. Nature, nurture, growth, ganyan. Growth for the future, no? Yung desire niya to reunite with Daisy. Green light, meron po niyang ibig sabihin, no? So, The Great Gatsby. The Lord of the Flies naman by William Golding. Yung conch shell. Ayan. I-highlight ko muna yung mga object or tao, no? Na may symbolism. So, conch shell serve as order and civilization. Pero nung na powder or na broke yung conch shell, may ibang sabihin na yun. It's either savagery or hindi maganda, no? Moby Dick naman by Herman Melville. Moby Dick, Herman Melville. Moby Dick, Herman. Moby Dick, Herman. So, the white whale, ayan, the white whale. In Moby Dick can be interpreted as obsession or unknowable or destructive power of nature. Ayan. The scarlet letter, so yung symbolism natin dito is yung letter A na sinuot mismo ni Hester Prynne, symbolize adultery. Ayan. But also evolves into a symbol of her strength and resilience. Ewan ko kung ano yung scarlet letter A. Siguro hindi siya letter A na quintas, no? Kasi yung alam ko is letter A na pendant. Hindi pala. It's all about sulat. Scarlet letter. Ayan. So again, that is symbolism. Napakadali ng symbolism na yan, no? Let's dig in with the ticking clock. Ito naman yung create suspense and urgency. So may time limit ito. For example, the Epic of Gilgamesh sa Mesopotamian region yan. So si Gilgamesh is anong tawag dyan? May quest or anong tawag dito sa Filipino? May pagsubok. No, for immortality is driven by fear of death and a sense of time of running out. So meron siyang pagsubok na kailangan niyang matapos, or journey na kailangan niyang matapos, and able to achieve something. We also have the Mahabharata, the longest Indian epic. Contains many instances where characters are bound by time-sensitive vows or curses. So every challenge is my time limit. Kung walang time limit, it's not a challenge at all, diba? That is for the ticking clock. So, ayan guys, that's the end of our literary devices. I hope we na-internalize lahat natin yung lahat ng information. And it's been 1 hour and 12 minutes discussing with you guys. I have a let type quiz about the said discussion. You can access this by asking me, no? If you want it naman. Kung hindi, edi wag. Okay, I have to end this video now because I have to start with idioms before mag-10 kasi meron pa tayong figure speech. Anyway, thank you guys for studying with me. See you soon on the next video. Bye!